What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone out there is doing well on a great Sunday evening. Still watching some college football out there, guys. So, overall, guys, I hope you all are doing well out there on a great Sunday evening, watching week one of the college football season. Indeed. Oh, wow. So, yeah, guys, great to be back with you on the live stream here on the Breakdown Sportscast. You know where to follow us. We're on multiple streaming platforms out there. We're on X, Instagram, TikTok, at BD Sportscast. If you want to follow us on there, you can definitely follow us on those social media applications. If you want to listen to the podcast, of course, you can always listen to us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify, and yes, we are also on on Amazon Music as well. So just type in the Breakdown Sportscast, and you can definitely listen to all of our current and past episodes on there as well. And yeah, we are also simulcast on YouTube and Twitch. Links are in the description, of course. So if you just type in the Breakdown Sportscast, of course, you'll find the channel there. We're streaming live. If you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate it. And if you're watching us on our Twitch channel at Breakdown Video Game Cast, where Chris and I are playing a little college football 26, among other things as well. Yeah, definitely follow us on there, guys. But feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It's definitely important for us, guys. Of course, as we're trying to grow this community with you all out there. So it's definitely important for Chris and I as we, continue on with the Breakdown Sportscast and delivering great content for you all out there. So as always, guys, we very much appreciate you guys' support with the show. As always, guys, you know who I'm with. I'm with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Kory? Man, just soaking in what's been just an insane week one of college football. So much went down, so much that we didn't see coming, and it's just been unbelievable. So it's been everything we could ask for and more, Kory. This is the pandemonium. Week one out the gate that we're getting. It gets no better than this.
It doesn't, man. Like this is why we love the sport of college football. And I know, you good folks out there listening at home. This is also why you love watching college football. You love the drama, the pageantry, all of it. This is what we wait a whole fall and spring for is to watch games like that are currently on right now. As we're recording, streaming live for you all. Notre Dame, Miami. You don't. In the past, Chris, we didn't get big games like this on a regular basis in week one of the college football season. Now, I can say as a college football fan, I'm spoiled getting these games.
It's become a staple of the season. Gotta have some marquee matchups. We had them from noon to 11 p.m., almost midnight. Just big time game after big time game, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about, Kory.
Yes, we do, sir. Well, I guess we can't stall the people any longer, Chris. I know people want to enjoy their evenings, their Sunday evenings, watching a little bit more of this game. This is a great game going on right now between Miami and Notre Dame. But we might as well go ahead and get to it, Chris. A heck of a Saturday in week one of the college football season. We got to go ahead and talk about the game of the day. College game day was in town. Lee
Mm-hmm.
Corso's final pick, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
before, riding off to the sunset. Shout out to the one great Lee Corso in delivering us, some of the greatest picks and just the pageantry of college football. But yeah, overall, this was a game that, and I put it in the thumbnail, and even before, Chris, we were headstrong in saying Texas was going to go into Columbus, Ohio, and defeat the Ohio State Buckeyes. That did not happen. As you can see the
Mm-hmm.
score, folks, 17-14 was the ending score of the game. Ohio State defeated Texas, and man, boy, were we wrong. And I will take the L. I think we got to take the L, Chris. We were
Oh yeah.
wrong, and Ohio State did what they needed to do. Ryan Day, got his team up and ready to play in this ball game. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of stakes on the line. Got to give a shout out to Julian Sand. The guy
Mm-hmm.
looked like he was cool and calm under center
Mm-hmm.
for the Buckeyes. And hey, a win is a win. 14-7 doesn't seem like amazing game, of course, but overall, they did what they needed to do to get the W.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. Definitely got to give all the credit to Ohio State for making the necessary plays, whether it was on defense, getting big stops, like the goal line stand, like the fourth down stops. Those are huge in this ball game. So all the credit to Ohio State for stepping up big time. The linebackers, we heard about how fast this linebacking group is, and it was on display. Those guys were definitely flying around to the ball. So big ups to Ohio State. Um, but let's I'm not gonna belabor the big story. Arch Manning, what was that? What was that, my brother? You have been sitting and waiting, QB and waiting for 2 seasons, entering your junior year. And this is your first time in a ruckus environment, playing at the shoe. First time as the quote unquote man. But you played last season. You stepped in for Quinn Ewers for a few weeks as he battled an injury. And this is the performance we get. It would be one thing if you lost but put up an admirable performance, a performance that we can sit back and respect. That was terrible football that Arch Manning played, Kory. Just to be just honest with you, the the throws were there to be made but weren't made. The continuous sidearm motion. I don't understand what that was about. I don't understand what happened, what took place. Um, for someone who is very talented and looks to be poised to be a top pick in the future NFL draft, I was left confused, befuddled when the game ended, Kory. Who was that? Was this Space Jam football? Was his powers taken from him before the game, Kory? I have no idea what we saw. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because the quarterback play from him was that egregious. It was terrible. I'm just going to be honest with you, Kory. It was bad, bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was shocked, Chris, in seeing the amount of times that I saw the football being thrown by Arch Manning, and it looks like it was being skipped,
Yes,
on a puddle of water
yes.
in your favorite creek somewhere in Texas. It was bad. It was really bad. I don't know why those throws were being made by Arch Manning. I don't know what he was reading at times. I mean, he threw a couple passes in double coverage. One got definitely picked off. And yeah, he just looked out of whack. It looked like he was thinking too much in the moment. He wasn't allowing his talent that we know he definitely has. He wasn't allowing himself to be himself. And I don't know, Chris. I was very disappointed in his play on Saturday. And if you're Steve Sarkisian, I know you're kind of like the quarterback whisperer. You're the offensive guru that people say that you are. This is something he has to try to get out of Arch Manning. He has to try to calm this guy down and say like, hey, it's okay to not feel like you're the hero in all of this. Of course, it's not be so hard on yourself. Try not to be so hard on yourself when out there being the quarterback of this team. And maybe he's going through that a little bit. Who knows? I know a lot of people are coming after people like Paul Feinbaum and just ESPN and all of these national pundits about the weight on Arch Manning's shoulder and being this guy that owns the Manning name. He people literally put him on his pedestal and being the guy, talking about Heisman's, and we're not even there yet. We got a long way to go before we start talking about who's going to win a Heisman Trophy, who's going to win national championships. That was one of the reasons why, for me, I felt a little off in talking about the playoffs, but this is something that we also do as well, Chris. We predict sports, particularly college football. It brings a lot of excitement to the fans out there. But I think I would be remiss in saying that maybe a little bit of the noise has gotten to him a little bit, and maybe he needs to kind of settle down, be himself, in order to perform in the way that we know that he can perform. That's just my thing.
No, you're right. You're right. Definitely shouldn't put too much pressure on himself. And I don't know. I don't know if that was necessarily the case. It could be. Maybe he's battling an injury. We haven't heard anything, but just the continuous sidearm motion just confused me. It makes me think maybe there's something going on with his shoulder to where you don't want to do your normal motion, your normal follow through, and it's less of a pain and stress on the shoulder if you do that sidearm motion. So, not necessarily to excuse his performance, but just trying to understand how that took place and why he had the game he had. But also credit to the defense he went up against too, because Ohio State's defense is good. Granted, they are replacing a lot of guys, but there's still a team full of 4 stars and 5 stars, and those guys were ready to make a name for themselves. So they played great football. But this has to get fixed quickly, Kory. Arch can't continue to play like this. If he plays like this, Texas won't make the playoffs. Not in this SEC.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think that's definitely going to be something that I don't think I know. It's definitely going to be something that Steve Sarkisian is going to be asked about within the Texas media. I'm around this area, Chris. These media guys don't play about the Longhorns. Questions need to be answered, and answered quickly, soon, in a hurry. About how this team is feeling, how Arch Manning is feeling in terms of confidence in leading this team at the quarterback position. They need locker room leaders, of course, to get back to where they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
They were a couple plays away from going to a national championship until the team that beat them on Saturday said no. And
Mm-hmm.
here we are again. In a big moment, Sark isn't getting it done. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, Sark having these, weird moments against stifling defenses. And look, I'm gonna eat my crow and talk about Ohio State. This defense play lights out. They definitely confused Arch Manning through that whole game, and they were after him. So I think we talk about Arch Manning in terms of his play. We do have to wonder about Steve Sarkisian in these big moments. How can he get over the hump as well when teams are throwing defensive packages at him, and he himself is kind of looking out of whack in terms of coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he definitely has to find his groove and get this fixed and fixed very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, because you said he said himself they have been building towards this season.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been building towards this season, this is the kind of way performance you have and how the team plays. So it's going to be a tough year because the defense can only do so much. The defense played very good football. You hold Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and these guys to just 14 points, but you definitely need much more out of your offense, especially when you are an offensive guy like Sark is. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes peeled on how things progress as the season continues. But this season has gotten a lot more interesting in the viewpoint, in the sense of what will Texas' ultimate record be? It's not just the fact they lost to Ohio State; it's the way they look in this loss. You look like Tennessee did in SEC play last year.
And that's not good.
Where you maybe make the playoff, but you ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna do anything if this is how your quarterback's playing. You'll be lucky to make the playoff. So yeah, we'll see how things transpire.
Indeed, indeed we will. This is a long season, folks, and hey, you gotta take it one game at a time. I know that sounds very cliche. Coaches are definitely telling these guys that, but a little bit of it is the truth. So, can things get fixed? For the most part, they can. And maybe there is a lot of parity going on. Maybe there is some things going on with Arch. In terms of him able to physically compete in the way that he wants to. But time will tell. All these things will get figured out because they have to get figured out at some point, Chris, as we get through the college football season. So I'm eager to see what happens in the future.
Me too.
So yeah, man.
Me too.
Yeah, well, we will see. But anything else, Chris, you want to mention about this game before we move along?
Nah, I'm ready to get my pitchfork out for this next topic.
All right. Well, from one game, from things being question marks and people wanting answers, we gotta go to the next game, folks. That's right. Alabama heads to Tallahassee on Saturday, loses 31-17 to the Seminoles. Thomas Castellanos, we heard his remarks during the spring, the spring and near fall camp during media days about how Nick Saban wasn't around there anymore. They didn't have Nick Saban to save them anymore, and now he is here to make that into a reality and showcase that
Yeah.
to the Alabama Crimson Tide faithful. Boy, did
And
he
that he
ever.
did.
Boy, did he ever. He made this his life's work, Chris, to showcase this.
Hey, I don't know how old Tommy is, but we'll say this. He won't have to buy another meal in Tallahassee for the rest of his days that he's on whatever is in the city as he continues. Right now, he can just walk out, go to the bar in Tallahassee. I don't know what the popping bar is in Tallahassee, but he can sit down, and I'm telling you right now, the person to the left of him or to the right of him will make sure that he is fed and taken care of. But not a dime will have to be spent out of his own pocket. Not after the game, not after that performance and bringing in that win that he did.
Hey, the guy was spot on. He knew something that we didn't know. And it's funny that I totally forgot about Gus Malzahn being his offensive coordinator down there in Tallahassee. I think that's where a lot of this stemmed from, Chris. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie. I think a guy like Gus Malzahn that hates, that just he despises the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Hmm.
This is a guy that has wins over the Alabama.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I think a little bit of that was also a catalyst for what we saw on Saturday between these two. I think Thomas Castellanos knew that he has a really good offensive mind in Gus Malzahn that's going to make sure that he can get him to that next level to win ball games. In this ball game, yeah, they were up for the challenge. He was up for the challenge, and they took advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's a reason that we have to mention all possible ways of a game playing out or a season playing out. Early on in our previews at ACC, we did mention it might sound crazy, but Florida State, a potential contender. And here they are showing why. Thomas Castellanos, what he brings to the table with his legs, his athleticism. Yes, he's an undersized QB, but he plays like he's 6'4", 230. He's not afraid to run into between the tackles, to take a hit, do whatever needs to be done to get the first down, and get right back up, let you know he got the first down, and keep marching the ball. He has that swagger, that energy, that toughness. He has what you want out of a quarterback and a guy you can rally behind if you're his teammate. And so that is something that maybe I think we all, including myself, had underrated heading into the season is that just those intangibles because it was on full display. Alabama did march down the field and score first, Kory. They were up 7-0. Florida State could have easily been like, okay, well, here it goes. They haven't started, and that was not what they said. They said, okay, let's get back, and
Mm-hmm.
boy, did they get back! And look, Gus was in his bag, Thomas was in his bag, the whole team did what needed to be done. D line got right, and made Alabama's offensive line, who has been highly touted heading into the season again, but embarrassed them. Made Caden Proctor look like he had no business over there at left tackle.
Yeah, man, they definitely they definitely helped out on ruining Caden Proctor's stock. I'll say that for sure. Along with a lot of other guys' stock at Alabama, they made these guys look like a JV Alabama squad.
Yeah, yeah. This is not your Nick Saban coach team, and it is evident and clear. As much as people love to make fun of that and joke about Nick Saban ain't on them sidelines no more, he ain't, and I damn sure can tell he ain't. Because defensive performance, Kory, guys jogging to the ball. after it snapped, legitimately jogging,
It
that would
definitely
never
wasn't
happen in Nick
Alabama
Saban's
football.
watch.
No, no,
No.
not at all, not at all. And you want to know the crazy thing about this is, Chris? Um, it's the whole thing about people have been talking about ice cream truck, you know, blasting music at practice, all of this stuff, and I even had to like do some digging and seeing how all of this has been playing out in terms of the culture at Alabama,
Hmm.
because even Nick Saban has went out on record, Chris, and talking about the culture has changed from what he established there.
Hmm.
It's different. It's different, and to the most faithful Alabama fan, is not something that the Alabama fan is too keen about right now.
No, they're
So
not.
I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
I'm right there with you. I mean, we could break this down from a bigger picture standpoint, Corey. We're old enough to remember before Nick Saban got hired at Alabama. It was not peaches and cream before Nick Saban got hired there. There was a reason they went out and had to go get Nick Saban because it was looking real bad the Mike Shula days.
Really
I'm
bad.
talking guys. Guys were getting fired their first season at Alabama for getting into foolishness. I mean, just people go look at the history of Alabama coaching, and you will see this is a fan base that doesn't play. You will get fired after going 10-2. But in one of them two losses, if it's to Auburn and they don't like you, they'll get rid of you. So no, these people don't play. Alabama is not immune to falling off. Is the point that I want to make. Alabama's not immune to that. So you've been blessed with excellent coaching for over a decade and a half with Nick Saban as a guy, and now he's gone. And college football has gotten even more to the point where the parity is on another level, and how the portal has had its effect on things. Um, the depth of teams is being decimated now with guys going on to other schools so they can have their chance immediately and be able to be impact guys instantly. It's hard to maintain a program. And I know everybody loves Kalen DeBoer when the hire was made. This is a tough job already. And then when you add to that how college football is in 2025, Corey, boy, does Kalen DeBoer have a job on him. And I don't know if he can make it happen because it ain't easy in these streets.
No, it's not. It's it's tough times right now if you're an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, Chris. I don't know, man. It's it's crazy to see how, and we saw it, Chris. We saw how Nick Saban was, holding that team year in and year
Hmm.
out. The intensity
Hmm.
level was at an all time high. If you were at Alabama, you if you were a player and you witnessed those practices and just being out there in 100-degree weather and just hearing Nick Saban on game day, all of that, hearing the fans, of course, there definitely was a culture that was, as they call it, the Bama standard that was
Hmm.
built by Bama.
Hmm.
The, that school, those guys in the past, they were obsessed with winning, with being the best. And if they didn't win, man, it was hell to pay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing a whole new culture that Kalen DeBoer has set out, and it's not favorable for what it is to be an Alabama fan, to be an Alabama football player, and now they're trying to gel with it. They're trying to learn this new style that they're really not used to being around these players.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't really, these players outside of a few, they don't really know what it's like to go to practice and get yelled at by Nick Saban on a regular.
Yeah.
This is a whole new ball game.
It is, and the scary thing about it, there's a couple scary things to me. One, it's alarming that Alabama, under Kalen DeBoer, in games they are favored by at least 13 points to win, they are now 4-4.
Mm-hmm.
You are favored by nearly 2 touchdowns, and in those games, you are now sitting at 500 in his tenure. That's not good.
It's not good.
That's not good at all. And another thing is, these are the same problems they had last season. That physicality, that intensity that we're not seeing, were the same issues they had last year. And
I know.
they were this close last season. If you out talk to an honest, realistic Alabama fan, they probably would tell you the same thing. They could have been 7-5 last year. A couple plays go one way. South Carolina maybe comes up and ends up winning a game, and the South Florida game was a very wonky and weird game in itself. I mean, last year, these are the same issues that we're seeing with the O-line, with the defense not everybody, all 11 players pursuing and going hard every play, allowing themselves to get beat at the line of scrimmage. And you're getting beat at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. That's a coaching problem. That says that there's something going on when it comes to the mentality and your makeup as a team when your O-line and D-line are getting punished. I don't like the vibes, Kory. I don't like it. I don't like what's coming out of Alabama. I don't like what's brewing in T-Town, man, because you shouldn't be having the same kind of problems and games playing out the same way. Alabama's losing games because their offense is not showing up and the defense is getting bullied. What's up with that? What's going on? That can't be the case. And if that's going to be the case this season, it's going to be a long season. Because we just saw Auburn put up over 300 yards, and we'll get to that game in a little bit. They put up over 300 rushing yards on Baylor's home turf. Alabama better boot up and get right before Auburn does the same thing to them, because the way they played defense Saturday, they played that way against the Auburn team we just saw. It's going to be a long game, Kory. And that's just one of many of 8 SEC games that are on the docket this season. So good luck, Alabama fans. This might be a long football season for you.
Yeah, that's all I can say. I agree with you, Chris, 1,000%, man. Before we move on, Chris, the schedule. I just gotta mention that just because I've been looking at it. Man, this after losing against Florida State, the schedule doesn't look that much in your favor anymore if you're an Alabama fan.
Mm-hmm.
You play UL Monroe next Saturday, you'll win that. I'm starting to hear people saying how we're going to beat UL Monroe. Like, come on, stop. You'll win 65-0. It'll be easy.
Right.
But the following week, Wisconsin comes to T-Town. I mean, they had a near miss with their quarterback. Who's to say that Wisconsin doesn't play well in this game if Wisconsin ends up beating you or getting close to beating you? At this point, by the time,
going 6-6.
Yeah, September 27th at Georgia, man, you're staring 1-3 in the face at that point. Literally,
Now
I'm
you're
not even
staring two
joking.
and two possibly. You could be 2-2 heading into October.
Yeah,
1-3 or 3-2.
yeah. Like, you trying to be a 3 or 4 loss team trying to make it to the playoffs? Don't think it's gonna happen, Jack.
Yeah, yeah, and then who else do they have in SEC play?
Oh, it gets worse, Chris. I mean, you got to play Vanderbilt October the 4th. We saw what happened with them playing Vanderbilt last year. Diego
Hmm.
Pavia was having fun. He was this guy was just running all around him like the road runner. At
Hmm. Hmm.
Missouri, October the 11th.
And Missouri doesn't look bad. Bo looked good.
Yeah,
Bo looked good at QB there, and he can run too.
he can run. He can run. Look, he told Drew Allard, he said, "Look, I'm gonna I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna go somewhere else. All right, don't let this man play you, Alabama." And next thing you know, Bo Perula is like, "Hey, look, Diego Pavia last season he had, a record-setting day. Became a superstar
Hmm.
at Vandy. I became a superstar at Missouri by beating Alabama as well." Like, don't allow these quarterbacks to start, throwing their weight on you.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
which I'm just gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It looks like it may happen. You may be in a world of trouble with your defense there when going up against some of these other teams out here. I haven't even talked about LSU. We're gonna go
or
into
Tennessee.
that in a little bit. Tennessee at South Carolina later this year. It doesn't get any easier if you're Alabama. Something has to change, and it has to change quickly, Chris, because this can go off the
Yeah,
rails more than it probably
yeah.
feels like it already has for some people.
No, for sure, for sure. It can get very, very rough. But ooh, yeah, yeah. I I will I will be glued to every Alabama game this season as if I am an Alabama fan, Corey, because this is absolute cinema. This is the days of our lives. This this is a true
As the
soap
world
opera.
turns.
What's playing out in front of our eyes is just theater. You know, it gets as the drama builds in T Town. It college football just gets to be that much more crazier, and ain't nothing more entertaining as a Mississippi State alumnus who has gone through several downs as in rooting for our Bulldogs. I do take a lot of joy in seeing Alabama fans tilt, and so if Alabama continues to tilt, I will be live and present as each episode releases to see how this plays out because this is it's quite entertaining. I'm not going to lie to you. It's nothing like seeing Alabama fans upset. Just to be real.
If you're an LSU fan, you going into the elevator with LSU and Georgia fans, they'll probably, look at you and say, "I agree." in terms of this, it's the gift that keeps on giving. This is kind of like, Christmas
It's the
Day.
gift that we've been waiting to get. To get. This has been long overdue.
Oh man, everyone's just licking their chops now every week when they see Alabama on the schedule.
This gift has been on layaway for 15 years now, and it finally, we were able to cash out when Saban left. So we'll see how it all continues to play out. But this looks like it's gonna be quite a year if you're an Alabama fan, boy, because there's some major red flags.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and yeah, look, we'll see what happens with Kalen DeBoer and seeing if he can, get this team to, figure some things out. I'd like to say, a little bit. It's too late now. It's a little too late to try to, figure things out when the season's already started. You should have figured that out, in the off
Hmm.
season, in the spring, and now you're knee
I
deep in the
mean,
season.
you lost the bowl game the same way. I mean, not to continue to rail on them, but like you got beat up by Michigan, and you start the next season by getting beat up by Florida State. That is alarming, man. Like for real. Like let's be for real. That's very bad.
Yeah, it is. It don't get no better. It don't get no worse than that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely see what happens, Chris. Definitely a rough outing indeed, and yeah, we'll definitely be staying tuned to what the Alabama Crimson Tide does throughout the season. But yeah, not a great showing at all. But for Florida State, great showing for them. Mike Norvell figured some things out. We'll see what happens with Florida State this season because as right now they look like one of the top ACC teams in the country.
Yes, yeah, they do look like one of the better ACC teams. They look better than you know had a better performance than Georgia Tech. They looked to be on par with the Louisville. They look like they're on the upper half of the ACC. So yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely credit to Florida State. They showed up and showed out.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, Chris, anything else you'd like to add to this game before we move on to our next game?
Now I'm ready. We can get on to the next game because in a weekend full of wow happenings and I got Baylor wrong, got Alabama wrong, Texas wrong. I can at least hang my hat on this one.
Let's go ahead and do it because in talking about Florida State, this is a great segue. They played well. They look like one of the top ACC teams in the league right now. Let's go to this game because this ACC team went head to head against the SEC team, and what do you know? It's like another dimension, Chris. They did not look good. Clemson Tigers, Death Valley loses to LSU 17-10. They looked good in the first half, and then like by the middle of the third quarter, they just decided they didn't want to play football anymore. Dabo was just on the sideline, just pacing back and forth. Maybe he saw that Florida State game and said, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out. I don't want nothing to do with Thomas Castellanos. Hey, Kate, just sit this one out, buddy. We'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was quite an interesting game. The defenses were legit. The defenses came to play as you predicted, Corey. You said the defenses were going to come out here and you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to have to earn these TDs. And even when you earn a TD, the referees are snatching it out of your hands. I'm upset for you, Barryon Brown. That was a catch. That was a catch. Don't let nobody tell you it wasn't. Just like Dez Bryant caught that ball, Barryon Brown caught that ball too. That was a touchdown. But anyways, LSU looked like one of the best teams in the nation. And to me, I think they are the best team in the nation. Clemson struggled, but they are still one of the better teams. I can see that much. Kate Klubnik, still one of the top quarterbacks in the country. But Garrett Nussmeier is that guy. And even though there weren't a bunch of points put on the board, he was dissecting Clemson's defense before the snap like a senior, like a veteran quarterback is supposed to. Putting guys in motion, checking out the play, changing the protections. He was doing everything you wanted out of your leader, out of your quarterback. Hayden Durham played well. Um, Brown stepped up. Trudez stepped up with a huge touchdown reception in the end zone. LSU has the horses, and they just getting out the gate. This ain't even the best you'll see from LSU this year. It's going to get better and better as the weeks continue. And I think we are getting an early glimpse at the national champs, Kory. There's a reason we had the number one on our preseason poll. LSU is the best team in the nation. And I felt very good about that after watching that game.
No, I totally agree with you now, Chris. Look, I will say I was the one that was, for Clemson to win this ball game. I thought they would handle business at home. Boy, was I wrong. Just like with a lot of these picks this week. And
You cooked.
Yeah.
You might be wrong with that. You cooked on your other picks now. I ain't gonna let you say that now. You was cooking. You was cooking.
Well, I definitely, looked at the, the tail of the tape with this game, and I was spot on with saying that this game was going to be filled with defensive plays, which it was. The defenses for both these teams showed up and showed out. I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw on Saturday night between these two teams. But there had to be a winner, had to be a loser at the end of the day. LSU, man, they look lights out on defense, man. And people say defense wins championships. I definitely believe that.
Ooh.
They brought it to Clemson, and when they struck gold with their offense, they took advantage of that. And it kind of had me thinking about just like what you said earlier before the start of the season, Chris, with all of the weapons that LSU had at the receiver position. They showed up. Baron Brown, heck of a player.
Aaron Anderson?
Yeah, Aaron Anderson. Like all of these guys, they were there. They were showing up. And they really kind of showcased that as a strength as well last night. That look, you weren't gonna stop us through the air with a bevy of our receivers that we have. And look, the blocking was well too. They definitely helped Nussmeier with staying in the pocket and staying calm. But yeah, like the receivers, they were looking great, and like the defense was like the cherry on top for LSU. And hey, hats off to Brian Kelly. He knew what he had coming into this game. He knew the stakes that he had to make in terms of winning this ball game. And they took care of business, Chris. I gotta tip my cap off to LSU. They took care of business in this ball game in an environment that's a very tough environment to win. It's hard for teams to win at Clemson, and they took them to the woodshed. So I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw.
That secondary looked like the LSU secondaries we have grown accustomed to seeing over the years that we associate with LSU football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just locking up on the outside. Granted, it did help. We have to mention Antonio Williams, Clemson's best wide receiver, was knocked out of the game early. So it was up to like Wesco and Moore to try to hold it down for Clemson at the receiver spot. But LSU's defense was sensational. The Weeks boys, the Weeks brothers.
Yeah.
Woo!
Tough. Tough bunch, man.
They are the fly to the ball, pass rush, pass coverage, stopping the run. Whatever you needed, they got you. And that's dangerous to say. When the defense is clicking against a team who brought back the most production in the nation. Clemson brought back the most production. As all teams in the country, they were the ones most established heading into this season with guys newly revamped LSU defense to play like they did against an offense that potent, the country like beat just understand LSU is for real. It's almost like LSU is for real because that offense is only going to get better. But for the defense to already be clicking like it is, oof, oof. If you're an LSU fan, you are having a wonderful Labor Day weekend. You are sleeping with a cheese, just a smile of all smiles on your face. You ain't smirking or grinning. The teeth are showing at night. You are just a full blown cheesing, looking at this team and the possibilities of this team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're an LSU fan, you couldn't be more pleased with what you saw on Saturday night. This team, I think, is that they're head and shoulders above all, as what the one Roman Reigns has said before. They're definitely one of the top teams, if not the top team in the country. I think what I saw, they could go head to head against anybody in the country right now, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
They're that good, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have been more pleased with what I saw last night. And yeah, if they keep playing like this, look for them to be in Atlanta come time for the SEC championship game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's for sure. And we told y'all in the preseason that 8.5 over under. Take the over. And a lot of people, thought they would lose this one, but they got this one. It's a big win, and now the next four or five games will be interesting. You do get some tough matchups. You got to go. You got to bring. Welcome Florida. Go to Ole Miss. Play South Carolina as well. So you got some interesting games against some teams who Ole Miss did look good. Granted, it was against
Georgia
I believe
State.
Georgia State, but they do present, I think, a challenge offensively. Uh, South Carolina does have your Heisman hopeful, Lenore Sellers, and then he is a dynamic player. And the wide receivers look to be progressing in South Carolina. So there are some good matchups that we do have coming. End of the season, you do play at Oklahoma, so there are some games on this schedule. But you do look like you have a team ready to face the competition, and is definitely capable of winning all of these tough matchups.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw with LSU, and yeah, we'll definitely see what's going to happen with the Tigers coming up this season. But yeah, I think that this was an exceptional first step forward for Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers in trying to make it back to a college football playoff.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. This is the year. You got to make it happen this year.
Yeah, got to make it happen this year. So we'll definitely see what happens with the Tigers, with both of these Tigers moving forward. Clemson got a lot of work to do. We'll see what happens. But I will say this: that Florida State Clemson game looking a little bit more interesting.
Should look a lot interesting in a few weeks. That Georgia Tech Clemson game will be interesting as well.
Yeah.
At Georgia Tech.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can't wait to watch all of these games and see how both of these teams fare throughout the season. So it should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris, as we get closer and closer to the end of the show, we want people to enjoy the rest of this game. Of course, 21-7, all Miami right now. We'll see what happens as it's getting closer to the fourth quarter. So we want to go ahead and kind of get closer to wrapping up the show. We want to go ahead and do some other scores, folks. If you're watching the stream right now, Of course, we appreciate it. Had a little technical difficulties on my end. Of course, if you were looking to watch the stream on YouTube, apologies on that. We'll make sure to upload the full show for you guys once we get up out of here. But feel free to like the show and get into the chat as well. I want to hear your thoughts about week one of the college football season. Of course, Chris and us, we both want to see what you guys
For sure.
thoughts on this great week in college football. You know, there's a lot of games. Still got a lot of games coming up this week, but we appreciate you guys listening to the show. But yeah, Chris, let's go ahead and look at other week one results. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. Auburn taking on Baylor and Waco. Auburn won that game 38-24. And the biggest stat, Chris, and we were talking about it before we got on air. You know, Jackson Arnold, he was 11 for 17 with 108 yards passing. Here was his stats rushing. Carried the ball 16 times, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest of the day was a 27-yarder. Man, every time I saw Jackson Arnold, this man's feet was moving like the Road Runner. This guy was running, ripping and running around Baylor all game. And as I checked his stats and Auburn's stats in general, Chris, I didn't realize the amount of times they ran the football with Jackson Arnold and that running back group. 51 times, Chris. 51 times, 308 yards, 4 touchdowns in total. Rushing. That's what Auburn did to Baylor. I was thoroughly impressed. And I was shocked at the same time.
I was too. Hugh Freeze is a simple man, Kory.
Very simple man.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He understands that. He came from the high school ranks. He was a very, a very good high school coach. And so, many times in high school, you ain't gonna change it up. We're from, we spent our fair share of time in the GTA. West Point, hey, running the football works. Why not run it 50 times a game? You ain't stopping it. So yeah, Auburn ran the football down Baylor's throat, and I expect them to continue to do that if teams can't stop the run. And if you can adjust and make them have to pass it more, well, you have Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton on the outside to make plays. So Auburn, that's a team to keep your eyes on, because Jackson Arnold still has to prove he can make the plays with his arm, but he definitely can make the plays with his legs. And he's not making mistakes either. And that's a big thing for Hugh Freeze. You have a guy who isn't making mistakes, who isn't costing you the game. Jackson Arnold looks to be a competent quarterback who can at least make plays in situations. And we'll see how his arm progresses when it comes to, throwing the ball downfield. But he at least isn't going to lose you the game. And I bet you, if you talk to a lot of Auburn fans, they'll take that, because they've had their quarterback lose them the games the last couple seasons. And just by not losing them the game will get them a couple more wins than what they had before. So I think Auburn looks to be in good shape heading forward, Kory.
It definitely seems that way. I know, I joked around, and I'm joking around about Jackson Arnold, ripping and running everywhere on the field. This is just the first game of the season. I'm sure over time he will settle in the pocket there in the way that Hugh Freeze wants him to, and he'll become even more dangerous with his arm and his legs in the future.
That's the case. He's gonna look like that 5-star that he was coming out of high school.
Yeah. If that happens, watch out, SEC. Just like we talked about with LSU, we could be talking about that with Auburn because the
Mm-hmm.
defense, at times the defense did look good. They still what they let Baylor get about close to like 300 some yards of offense. So that's still a lot of yards that you gave up, but it there's time for them to clean some things up and become a little bit more dominant of a defense. But in terms of the offense, if they can also clean up some things and Jackson Arnold can be just as good with his arm and his legs, man, you're talking about an Auburn team where if you're the opposing team, you're gonna have to catch up with these guys. Maybe they wouldn't even need defense at that point. you score so much.
Hey,
Who am I
if
kidding?
they are as potent throwing the ball as they are rushing the ball, ooh. Because I'm telling you, it wasn't. We didn't get to see it on Friday, but they have a case for a top 3 wide receiving core in the SEC. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're right there with the LSU's.
Yeah.
Um, they're right there with Alabama has some good receivers too. We didn't see it on display Saturday, but they have good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see how everything plays out, man. But sheesh, yeah, you feel good about Auburn though if you're a Tigers fan.
Yeah. Yeah. I was impressed with what I saw with Auburn, with Jackson Arnold. With running the football, he looks very athletic, of course, as we've known him to be, and he looks dapper in that Auburn uniform. So time will tell when we get to see more of him play at Auburn this season, and gel with what Hugh Freeze is trying to get him to do offensively.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. Yeah, a great showing for Auburn in getting that W, and we'll see what happens with them. We'll see what happens with Baylor. Not counting out Baylor at all. We'll see what happens with them in the Big 12 conference this year. Moving along, Chris. We will go and look at the game in Atlanta, Tennessee versus Syracuse. Tennessee beat Syracuse 45-26. Joey Aguilar had his coming out party for the Vols. Looked good. Can't complain. Yeah, he was 16 for 28, 247 yards for 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he looked good in his debut for the Volunteers. So, what were your thoughts about Joey Aguilar and his
Yeah,
debut?
yeah. I'm gonna just keep it short and simple. The bomb plays presented itself, and he connected. And I think that's the most encouraging thing if you're a Tennessee fan. This offense thrives off the running game, the rushing attack, and being able to bringing those safeties in on with the play action and hitting the bomb. And we
Yeah.
saw Joey make that play.
Mm-hmm.
Had a huge 71-yard touchdown pass. So I feel really good about Tennessee because that's what was missing from the offense last year. So Joey is making those throws. They can play with anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Still has some pretty good running backs as well. Of course, the defense, definitely helped out a guy like Joey Aguilar as well. I think what Josh Heupel has with Joey Aguilar can be something special this season. And knowing what we know about the other guy, Nico Iamaleava, I kind of chimed in on that game. UCLA didn't do so good. It was a tale of two worlds, I should say, Chris, between Joey Aguilar and Nico Imaliava. So
They got whooped on.
yeah, they got beaten, battered, flambéed. So
Yeah.
if you're a Tennessee fan, I guess you can say you can sleep at night.
No, you feel good if you're a Tennessee fan. You've been feeling good since it happened. Now those feelings have been affirmed with the performance. So
Yeah,
no, Tennessee fans are feeling just fine, and you yeah, after seeing how some of these games played out this weekend, you feel like you got a mix. You can play with anybody in the league.
I know. So yeah, it was definitely interesting to see both of these quarterbacks perform at their new schools. And in terms of this game, Joey Aguilar, he looked good. Made all the right throws, all the right decisions, and it helps when you have good players around you, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball. So hats off to Tennessee for a really good convincing win against Syracuse.
For sure.
So yeah, and then moving along, our last game, wanted to kind of just chime in on, Chris. This game happened on Friday as well as the Auburn Baylor game. Colorado hosted Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech defeated Colorado 27-20. Brent Key, I don't know how he did it, Chris. Look, you give up the
But they did
ball 3 straight times.
In 8 minutes.
And you still win. Look, you can do anything. You you can beat anyone if that's the case.
Presser, but I bet you Brent Key was saying that's the worst we will play this season. they
Maybe we should have listened to him.
I bet you they will pay for those turnovers this week in practice.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was gonna say maybe we should listen to him after those comments before the season started, where he said we're nowhere near ready to play in a football game yet. Maybe we should.
We should take that more into consideration, but Haynes King, man, gamer, they found a way.
Yeah,
and so yeah, shout out to Tech. I got a lot of stock invested in Tech, so I'm still high on the Yellow Jackets. But that was a little scary. They had your boy nervous now, Kory. I ain't gonna lie to you.
yeah, it definitely was an interesting game indeed. And Dion talked about how they didn't show up in this ball game, and how Georgia Tech took advantage of our mistakes in not getting ahead when they needed to. I'm going to look at this game and say this was a game that definitely is more indicted on Colorado being inept in not taking advantage of those opportunities. You had 3 straight turnovers on these guys in 8 minutes of the ball game. You got to find a way to get ahead.
You got to be up 17-0 at least.
Exactly.
And you need to turn those turnovers into touchdowns. At least 2 of the 3 turnovers into touchdowns. But all of them, you got to take advantage. And speaking of inept, Kory, I can't let Coach Prime and the staff make it with that last drive of the ball game. Piss poor, egregiously awful clock management. You had 2 timeouts, 1 minute to go in the game. I think it was a minute and 9 seconds. The first play, you get that completion, which was short, I believe 1 yard short of the first down. Call timeout instantly. You have 2 to spare. You try to get everybody back to the line of scrimmage, about 12 to 14 seconds rolling off the clock, trying to get everybody set before you can do the next play. Next thing you know, man, they done got 3 plays in. It's like, 16 seconds left in the game?
Yeah.
They weren't calling timeouts at all.
Crazy,
It was
huh?
just it was terrible. I'm yelling at my TV. I ain't got no horse in the race, but just for the sake of competency, call the timeout. Call the timeout. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely some head scratching moments in this game, indeed. But that's what made it interesting. I'm not gonna lie. And look, Dion, you gotta get the clock management right.
That's on the coaches. That's on
Yeah,
you as a coach.
yeah.
In-game coaching. And so yeah, that
Because
is on
who's to
Coach
say that you
Prime.
won't be in this situation again?
Right, right. Yeah. No, that's just football 101, man. You got to call the timeout. You got to call the timeout in that situation. Time is critical, and so it's unfortunate how it played out. I also have my questions about Pat Shermer and his system. Um, we'll see how this offense progresses. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't progress, it might be Pat Shermer's last year as OC there.
Yeah. I mean, offensive coordinator position there at Colorado hasn't been as kind since Dion has gotten there. So, there's definitely a huge magnifying glass being put at the position of offensive coordinator there at Colorado. So, we'll definitely see what happens moving forward with that situation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So yeah, Chris. Those are all of the games that I think we could condense and put into the show. Of course, there was a lot of moments. Oklahoma now has Mateer. You know,
Mateer, Mateer looks like the real deal.
he does. He definitely does. And I'm interested to see what Oklahoma does this season. I think a lot of people, they're really not talking about Oklahoma that much this season. And who knows? Maybe to those guys, they're probably happy. They're like, look, don't talk about us. We'll keep winning, and we'll see Texas down the road. State fair. They're like, who knows, man? Look, I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes out on Oklahoma because they can make it interesting.
Hey, all I know is at least one of these quarterbacks is like they can put points on the board. Uh,
Yeah.
so and Oklahoma has a defense to go along with that too. So
Right.
I'm curious to see what that as the season plays out, what the line will be for that game because
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma Texas, a game we already thought was the evenly matched game heading into the season based off of our preseason poll for where we have Oklahoma higher than the consensus. But after how Texas looked, hey man, I sure wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma won that game either. Still a lot of ball to be played before we get there, but
Yeah.
Oklahoma, they'll come to play this year in
Oh
that
yeah.
game. I'll just say that much.
Oh yeah. I best believe. I think they will as well. I'm excited to see what
I
happens.
know they will. Matter of fact, because Coach Venables is losing $1 million out of his check to make sure the program is in good hands. So he got to recoup that on the back end, which means his ass is out here trying to get some wins.
Exactly. So he has to show and prove this season, or else he's gonna be having that meeting with the boosters over there at Oklahoma. I don't want to have that kind of meeting with those boosters in Norman.
It sounded like he already had a meeting for some of
Yeah,
his checks to be getting hit, so he ain't trying to have another.
yeah. No. When you put it that way, yeah, the meeting was already had at this point.
You don't want that second one.
Yeah, he don't want to see that second one because that second one it's either you ain't getting paid no money.
We're gonna go ahead and give you all your money.
Yeah, it's either one or two things can happen. You know, either they're gonna dock some more money, or you ain't gonna get no more checks from them. Which you know what that means. So
yeah.
oh man, but yeah, we'll see what happens with Oklahoma. Yeah, they look good, of course, in their first showing this week. Couple other teams, real quick. No, who else out there?
Maryland looked good with their freshman quarterback.
Who's that?
Maryland. Maryland had a good game.
Yeah, I heard Maryland looked good. Yeah.
Cal had a good game with their freshman quarterback as well.
Yeah.
Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Got the win over Southern Miss on the road.
Yeah.
Impressive win.
Yeah. Georgia, 45-7 over Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
So Gunnar Stockton now QB1 for the Bulldogs. Granted it was Marshall, but he looked good. So it was good showings for a couple of
Louisville
teams
looked good as
there.
well.
Yeah, Louisville. Yep.
Louisville. They had a big blowout win. So,
yeah. So yeah, man, we saw a lot of good football in week one of college football season. So yeah, it's very much going to be interesting to see how all of these teams come into fruition this season as they start to beat up on one another. So I can't wait till we get knee deep in the season and we get to see all of these great games coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, partner, before we head out of here real quick, we got to go ahead and give our Chief of the Week, Chris. Chief of the Week for week one goes to none other than Thomas Castellanos. I got to give it to him, Chris. When you go out there and you say that there's no more Nick Saban to save them now, and that I'm gonna take care of y'all little by little when we play against each other,
and then actually do it,
and then you actually do it, you actually come through with what you said you were gonna do. Look, this is Chief of the Week worthy right here, Chris.
That's Chief of the Week material.
Yeah, look.
To a T.
Yeah, look, the stat line wasn't amazing. I mean, he was 9 for 14, 152 yards. But when you actually watch the game, those yards matter.
You're right. I mean, it's the principle of the matter, man. For him to talk that talk and then back it up, he's my Chief of the Week too. I'm right there with you. Yeah, he's the chief.
Indeed, man. Indeed. He also had 16 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. He ended the game, Chris, with a 83.6 QBR in this game. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if you watch the game, he was accurate with everything he did. He was the ring general of this game. Mm-hmm. He took control and led these guys to a victory over Alabama. A game that a lot of people thought he wasn't ready for. They thought the comments that he made was a fluke. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little skeptical of the things he said.
I was too. I said, "Oh, this boy talking that talk a little."
But
I don't know if you want to talk that talk just yet. But
he was like, "All right, bet." He said, "I'm gonna show y'all."
Yeah, he knew. And for you to be great and have great performances, you got to know. He just wanted us to know as well.
and we found out.
Found out beforehand and in the process of. So,
yeah. So
the week to Thomas Castellanos, bad man.
Bad man indeed. So yeah, just a great week though, Chris. I was I was thoroughly impressed with this week. Got a couple more games to get through. We're gonna let the good folks enjoy the rest of this game. Miami, Notre Dame, and yeah, we'll definitely see what happens in week 2. Got some big games coming up, of course, but another great show partner. Always
Mm-hmm.
great to talk about a lot of these games with you each and every week. And yeah, we'll definitely be back on Thursday to go over um, our predictions for week 2
Yes,
of the
sir.
season. So, so yeah, when y'all actually listen to the show, it'll be a Friday. So we'll be recording that show on a Thursday evening for y'all for Friday. So yeah, Chris, before we head out of here, got some outros. Let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, sir. Holla at your boy on X, Chris underscore Bolton underscore 12, and on Instagram at Chris.Bolton underscore. Tap in with me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, definitely follow Chris on there as well. He's always willing to tap in with the community, of course, as always. And yeah, folks, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, all of that great jazz. So yeah, definitely follow me on there. But yeah, guys, yeah, you'll hear from us again. We'll probably have some content, of course, as the week progresses. And yeah, you'll definitely hear from us again with another episode of the Breakdown Sports Cast on Friday, as we will break down all of the big games for week 2 of the college football season. So definitely follow us on there. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's definitely important for us. It's definitely shows us what Chris and I are doing for the community here and how we can improve the show for you all out there. So as always, we very much appreciate you guys' support. If you want to follow the show on social media, you can follow us on X, Instagram, and also TikTok at BD Sportscast. Just type that in and find our content there. As we have shorts and other great things, of course, and just let you know about the show. And if you want to listen to the podcast, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Just type in the Breakdown Sportscast, and you can find all of our past and present shows on there. And we also simulcast on YouTube and Twitch, of course. So, like I said, sorry about the technical difficulties. Of course, if you were watching us on Twitch, we very much appreciate it at Breakdown Video Game Cast. But hopefully, in the future, we'll definitely take care of the stream and making sure that it syncs up with both Twitch and YouTube. So yeah, if you listen to us on Twitch, like I said, at Breakdown Video Game Cast, follow us on there, and on our YouTube page, we simulcast on there, of course. So we very much appreciate you guys' support. But yeah, that's gonna be it for us, guys. We appreciate you guys listening in on the show. We'll definitely get the stream up on YouTube for you guys to listen, and we will catch y'all on a Friday with another episode of the Breakdown Sports Cast. But until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sports Cast. We will chat with y'all later on. Peace.
Peace.